So we have come to week number 9, Dhamma group 5, the first session of the Dhamma group 5, and next week will be the Dhamma group 5, session 2, and then we move on to the Dhamma group 6. That means we have completed the Dhamma group 2, 3, 4 already. And today is Sunday 24 March 2024. But let's just recap a little bit before we move on. It's good to remind ourselves what we have learned. Last week we discussed these 3 areas. The 4 foundation of mindfulness or satipatthana. I don't know if anybody have a chance to look at the sutra satipatthana or not. Okay. And the second we discussed about the 4 meditation of the elements or dhatu. Dhatu means element. The kammathana, the reflection, the meditation object that reflect on the nature of human body, the earth element, wind element, fire element, and air elements. There's no real being that or permanent self that's in us. And when we reflect on this dhatu meditation or dhatu kammathana or dhatu bhavana, it helps us to kind of lessen lust in the mind, develop the right view about the real nature of human being. And the last topic we discussed last week about the 4 Noble Truths, which is considered an advanced teaching of the Buddha or Ariya Satya. And as you can see, these 3 topics that covered last week happen to be an advanced topic, all of them. But we only have time to discuss them in less than in about 1 hour. For 3 of these advanced subject, which means that we cannot go in detail. And it's your job as a student to go find time. If you don't have time, my suggestion to you is you make time. If something important, you must make time. Otherwise, you will not get to the essence of the teaching. You just learn things in superficial way. And in the Nakdhamma level is designed to help students to explore the teaching of the Buddha that kept in the Buddhist text, that's kept in the Buddhist text as much as possible. And that is why many teachers have a hard time to go into detail of each particular Dhamma that we learn. So we have many subjects to be covering according to the curriculum. But I'll try my best, okay, to not only introduce you to as many as Dhamma subject possible, but also stop here and there and help you to connect the dot and point you to the right direction to find more detail about each particular Dhamma that we learn. So start from the quiz, a short quiz just like last week. Go question number 1. What is satipatthana in Buddhism? Okay, the 4 foundation of mindfulness. All right, that's a piece of cake. Everyone got it correctly. What is dhatu kammathana in Buddhism? Okay, contemplate all the elements. What is the cause of suffering according to the second noble truth? That again should be very easy. The second noble truth points specifically to something called tanha, the desire and attachment. By default, automatically you should know there are 3 kinds of tanha. Kama tanha, crave to have. Bhava tanha, crave to be. Vibhava tanha, crave not to be. And the last question, according to the Buddhist teachings, what is the cause of suffering? And everyone got it correctly. Ignorance or avijja. That's the root cause of everything. The big boss behind all the unwholesome root, right? This is called avijja, ignorance. So for today, we have these 5 subjects to be covering. Start from the first one, the anantariyakamma. Anantariyakamma, that means the 5 immediacy deeds or the kamma that will take effect right away. And the second, we will be talking about the 5 subjects of regular reviewing or abhinha. Abhinha means continue or habitual paccavekkhana. These are the 5 things that the Buddha suggests both monk and the lay people to reflect on a regular basis. And the third one, we will be talking about the benefit of listening to the Dhamma, okay, which from time to time I mentioned about this already. Today it's going to be more official to actually touch on this particular subject. And number 4, we'll be talking about the 5 hindrances. If you are a regular meditator or regular Buddhist study student, you know what 5 hindrances mean and what they are. And number 5, the 5 qualities of the new monks. You may think, oh, I'm not a monk, why should I know about this? Okay, let's see. So from time to time, you may come across the teaching that the Buddha teach the monk, but I do believe that the lay people can benefit the teaching that the Buddha gave to the monk as well. All right, start from the first one. We'll be talking about the kamma. So this picture I mentioned to you in some other previous session about the concept of the kamma, the kilesa, and the result of the action that we do, whether good or bad. The teaching of the Buddha, he teach us to understand the nature of life and the nature of human mind. In human mind, there are something called the kilesa, greed, hatred, delusion, ignorance. They are kept in the mind. Tanha also kept in the mind. And that's considered an unwholesome root cause of action. These three viruses of the mind cause us to do things unwholesomely or unskillfully, and that come with the result. And that action is called the kamma. The kamma that we created, we can do or we can create the kamma in three ways: by thinking, by saying, and by doing. And whatever we do, whatever we think, whatever we say, it will yield the result. That's called the vipaka, or the result or the fruit of the action. There is nothing that get lost in this universe. As long as we are human being, that means we will be born with ignorant mind. Our mind still contain the defilements. And this journey seems to be a very long journey until someone have awakened to the truth and telling us that, hey, everyone, there is something called the defilement in your mind. And the defilements cause you to do bad thing, and that bad thing will yield the result. If you kill, you may born with short-lived, born handicapped or whatever it is. If you drink a lot, you may born with the mental illness, attract all the bad thing into your life. If you give, you will attract well into your life. So this seems to be a generic teaching of the Buddha about the kamma, where you may not find in other teaching or other doctrine in this world. So kamma play the important roles in the teaching of the Buddha. And this circle, we need to keep in mind that there is the guy behind the scene that force us to do the kamma. And the kamma that we do will be saved in our mind, and it will yield the result in the future. But today we're going to talk about something that's considered a heavy kamma. If someone break this law of kamma, someone commit this heavy or the anantariyakamma. So this kamma will take effect first, the moment that the person die, or even it happened right away when that person is still alive. There are many stories like this that appears in the Buddhist text. Before we get to know what are those 5 things, let me give you some background information about the kamma first. In one teaching, the Buddha mentioned about there are 4 things that nobody in this world, even the Buddha himself, cannot guarantee. First, no one can guarantee that someone liable to old age will not grow old. Someone who liable to sickness will not get sick. Someone who liable to death will not die. No one can guarantee that. The last one, no one can guarantee that the bad deeds done in the past life will not produce their result, corrupting, hurtful, resulting in suffering and future rebirth, old age and death. All of the bad things that we have done will be kept in our mind, and it will produce the result. It will produce the result. That means it will happening definitely. Unless you know the way out, then you can work around. There's always some way out, right? The Buddha also teach us how to do that. But in general, human being, if we do good and do bad, everything will be kept in the mind. Positive and negative power will be kept in the mind. It will wait until the right time to take effect or to take the result. And this is the significance of the kamma mentioned by the Buddha himself. Beings, mean all of us, are owners of their action or kamma. Sometimes we don't translate the word kamma. Kamma is a kamma. But just to keep it simple, sometimes it's also nice to hear the translation in English, right? But if you study more of the Buddhist text from many Buddhist scholars, they don't translate it. They just stick with the word kamma. They just stick with the word Dhamma, because the more we translate it, the more the meaning get changed. Okay, it's not the real meaning of the word kamma. The heir to their action, they originate from their action. They are bound to the action. They have the action as their refuge. It is action or kamma that's distinguished being as inferior or superior. This gives us the hints why we will create differently. We don't have to blame super being or blame the nature or anything. We are in charge of our own life. We can be the master of our own destiny. If you look at yourself today, whatever happened to you, your health, your relationship, your education, you name it, this is the picture of your previous life. The goodness that you have been accumulated, it become you today. It attract everything to you today. And look at your friends or people around you. Some people don't even have house to stay. They are homeless. They don't even have food to eat. They don't have place to stay. They have no education. Why the nature create them like that? Who should we blame? Or we shouldn't we blame anybody? That's something we should be thinking about it. So Buddhism teach about the cause and effect. It's always the cause and effect. There's nothing happen by accident. So we need to keep that information in mind. The word karma mean a lot of things to the teaching of the Buddha. That means this lifetime is not the first lifetime that we were born, and it's definitely not the last lifetime either. We're gonna have to keep reborn and reborn and reborn for a countless lifetime until we can remove the tanha or the ignorance or the defilement out of our mind completely. When that happens, we will experience something called nibbana. In other words, every lifetime that we were born, okay, in the future lifetime, we have one main duty, I believe, to purify ourselves, body, speech, and mind, to lessen the power of defilement. We may not be able to remove them completely in this life, in next life, or in the next 5 life, 10 life in the future. But as long as we have this right view about life, we have this principle, we understand that this is life, this is the nature of life. There's something called defilements, and as long as the defilements still within us, we're gonna have to keep reborn for a very long, long time. So if we wake up to this truth, then we should set the new attitude that every day that we wake up, whatever we'll be doing today, we will make sure that we will find a way to lessen the power of the defilement from our mind. Start from something simple, observing precept, donation, meditation, study Dhamma. There are many good things that you can do to work around that area to purify yourself on a daily basis. As a Buddhist monk, there's one teaching that I learned from my teacher, and I still use it every day. It's important for us to remind ourselves before we go to bed. He said, if today, before you go to bed, can you bow to your own feet? If you cannot bow to your own feet, that means something is wrong today with your practice, with your Dhamma practice. You may break some precept. Do something about it. Get it fixed. Tomorrow, reset again. Be mindful how to live your life. Then if you can go to bed with that happy feeling, happy mind, you think of your own action today, you feel very joyful before you go to bed. You can bow to your own feet. That day is considered a success day. If today something went wrong, it's okay. We are human being. We are ignorant being. We make mistake all the time. And mistake is the part of the game of life. The most important question is, what should we do next after we make a mistake? And today, this topic is very serious, and I never found this kind of teaching anywhere else about anantariyakamma. It's called a heavy karma. There are 5 things. But before we take a look at them, this is something that I like to share with you. We involve with karma. Every day when we wake up, we create karma. Good, not bad. Every single day until the day we die. If you are fortunate, you understand the law of karma, then you can prepare themselves and save yourself from, accumulate the negative karma. And this is what happened before a man die. It's called the gravity of karma. The karma will take effect in this process. The first one is called weight or heavy karma or karu karma. Karu means heavy. It's called karu karma. Something heavy, which we will be talking today. Okay, today you will know what are those 5 things that nobody should be doing it. It's very serious through the lens of the Buddha and the awakened being. And second, if you don't do the first one, the first kind of karma or karu karma, the second karma will take effect the moment that the man die. We call death proximate or asana karma. Asana karma is the karma that take effect the moment that a man about to die, in the dying moment. In the dying moment, if the mind cling on something, good, think of the good deed that a person has done. Oh, maybe I ordained before, I built a temple, I released the fish, I study Dhamma. If the mind cling on that uh, positive action or the karma, good karma that he did, in that very moment that the guy about to die, in this case, he has a chance to go to a good place. But oppositely, if his mind all of a sudden cling on something negative, the bad thing that he has done, in just 1 second, the mind turn from bright to darkness. And when the mind cling on or attached to the darkness for some reason, the person or that mind or that spirit most likely will go to the bad place or the unhappy realm. And this is an important wisdom that everyone must keep in mind, that taught by the Buddha, that warn is a warning from the Buddha. If you remember nothing in the teaching of the Buddha, make sure that you secure your mind at your last breath. When the mind is defined, an unhappy destination may be expected. Oppositely, when the mind is undefined, a happy destination may be expected. Two things. This is bright, this is dark. So dark is bad, bright is good. How is the condition of your mind today, toward bright or toward dark? How was the condition of your mind last night? If we go to bed tonight, we don't know whether we will wake up tomorrow or not. It is crucial for us to habituate the mind to sleep in the brightness. And how can one sleep in the brightness? You need to think of the good thing that you have done today, or the good thing that others have done to you today. Feel grateful about who you are and what you do today, and sleep in that happy moment. Do not sleep in the agitated feeling, getting cranky, getting mad about life, about problem at work, about relationship, about family. Do not habituate yourself to go to bed that way. Do opposite. This is something. It's one of the homework that most of the meditators should do. This homework every day to sleep in a happy mind. And people may say, "Oh, you know what? I know the principle, and before I die, I will direct my mind towards something good." But on a daily basis, I'm just neglect to be mindful, to do merit, to think of the good things. It's not easy like that. It's not easy like that. If you are a regular meditator, you know what I mean. Some of you have been sitting 5 years, 10 years. Do you think that you can sit every session and be able to control the mind, to have the mind stay still inside the body in every session? It's not easy like that. Even though you are physically healthy, your brain, your physical, your mind is in good shape, you still cannot control the mind to be still, or still cannot control the mind to only think of the good thing all the time in that particular session. So it's not an easy task at all. It sounds simple, but it's not easy. And that's the second thing. And the third one is called habitual kamma or ajinna kamma, the kamma that one habitually perform and recollect. This thing will take effect at the third level. Let's say a man wake up in the morning and offering food to the monk every day. His mind feel like giving every day. He feel happy every time he give. Or a person observe 5 precepts every day. When he think of his precept, they feel like, wow, this year, the year 2024, I never break any precept. I observe precept every single day from January 1st until December 31st, 365 days, perfectly. And when he think of his own behavior like that, he feel proud of himself. He feel joyful. So he continue observe precept for the next year and the next year until the day he died. So he habituated the mind to be that way, to feel joy and happy with his own precept, with his own action. This is something that you do every day. It's very meaningful. This is help. It's very helpful when the mind, when you think of a man in the dying bed, he's losing. There's no physical power. He's worried about the life after death and don't even know what to think. But if he have been doing something good routinely or regularly, that would help him to regain consciousness, that would help him to be joyful when he think of that thing. In the subconscious level, the mind will continue to do what it get used to do, even though in the conscious level the body may not respond to the oxygen, to the tube, to the doctor, to the medical equipment. In the conscious level it may not respond to that, but I believe in the subconscious level the mind knows what it's supposed to be doing. There is an example that I learned from my teacher. He said one of the great teacher, he was a senior monk, and he admitted to the ICU. He lost conscious. He did not die. And every day at 5 p.m., the nurse and the doctor observed that every day at 5 p.m., when they check on the EKG and the brain signal from the brain and signal from the heart, they see that during that time, that particular time between 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., that graph, that curve is getting excited, is getting up and down very fast, very quickly from 5 to 6 p.m. And after that, it become low again. And they didn't know why. They cannot figure it out. So they asked the attendant to that senior monk, what did this teacher do during this time? And the secretary said, oh, every time, every day, if he did not have any invitation to go out, this time of the day is the time that he meditate and do the chanting. He ordained as a novice and died as a monk, as a senior monk. So that means he habituated his mind for whole life to do the chanting and meditate during this time every single day until the day he died. And that's the power of the subconscious mind. We habituate the mind to do this, to welcome this positive energy to our life during that time every single day. Okay, so please do not overlook the importance of the word habit. If you meditate every day 5 o'clock in the morning, that means every day at 5 o'clock, whether you wake up or not, your mind will be there waiting for you. It's know where to go and when to go according to how you train the mind. And number 4 is called katatakam. Katatakam means accumulative karma. The karma that's not belong into the first 3 groups is called katatakam. Something minor, something not so important, but still consider the karma. There are 5 things we call anantariyakamma. This one is the first group. It's called a heavy karma. If someone commit one of these, that person is in serious problem. First, killing martyrs, one's martyrs, matu kata. Second, killing one's fathers, pitu kata. And the third, killing arahant, or the enlightened being, called arahanta kata. And the number 4, injuring the Buddha. Nobody can kill the Buddha, but can injure the Buddha. And it's happened in the Buddha time as well. It's called lohitupapada. And the last one is called sankabeda, causing the sankha, basically break the sankha into 2 groups. Instead of uniting them together, the person try to separate them. This is called sankapeta. And number 3 and number 4 cannot be done, right? Because the Buddha is not around, and the enlightenment or the arahant may not be around. But number 1, number 2, and number 5, there's a possibility. And this day, unbelievable, there are the news like this. Son kill fathers, sons kill martyrs, father kill son, mother kill sons. What's wrong with the world today? This is something that's considered extremely bad. Extremely bad. In Thailand, the land of Buddhism as well, there are news like this appears almost regularly, happening in the families. Husband kill wife, wife kill husband, son kill fathers, fathers kill daughters. We don't know what went wrong today in the mind of human being. This is quite scary, and this is the world that we're living in today. So we need to not only educate ourselves, perhaps one day we can educate the world around us as well, then about the karma and the cause of the karma. So there are 5 things: killing martyrs, killing fathers, killing arahant, injure the Buddha, and break the sankha into groups. The reason is considered heavy because these people on the list, they are considered the virtuous people, the people who are that we should feel grateful to have them around in their life. They are virtuous, they are worth worshipping. That is why killing them or harming them is considered anantariyakamma, or the kamma that will bring the immediate result after the person dying. This is related to the gravity of the kamma, right? If you throw the stone, the rock, and you throw the bird feathers, the first object and the second object, from the rooftop of your buildings, which one will hit the ground first? Definitely, right? The rock will hit the ground first. You throw them at the same time. You place them on your left hand and right hand, just throw them. The rock will hit the ground first. Simply because the rock is heavier, much heavier than the bird feather. So it hit the ground first. Same thing. When someone committed these 5 action, this kamma will take effect first. No matter how much you make donation, no matter how many times you observe precept, no matter how many hours you meditate before you die, if you break one of these, the consequence of this action will take effect first, the moment that a person die. But the bird feather, even though it's considered light kamma, it's still right. It still hit the ground one day. We cannot run away from the thing that we did. It will hit the ground one day. If not this lifetime, it will following us to the future lifetime. So please be careful of your own action. This is the Buddha give us the warning. So we need to be very careful about it. And in the Buddha time, there are notorious monk called Tevadatta. Okay, he breaks some of this. He hires someone to kill the Buddha. He himself even tried to kill the Buddha as well, and he break the Sangha into groups for some reason. And when he died right away, he was sucked by the earth and reborn in a veggie hell. He's still there. Okay, so this is even though Tevadatta was born in a good family. He was the cousin of the Buddha. He meditated very well. He is considered the advanced meditator. He can do things where the normal monk cannot do. You see, a man with that advanced abilities, psychic power, mind readers, celestial ear, celestial eye, he can do all that. A piece of cake for him. But with having the wrong view, he wants to be number one. He wants to be in charge of the Sangha. So he turned himself against the Buddha. You see, right view and wrong view, it's extremely important. Doesn't matter how much education you have, how much money you have, how much success you have. If you possess the wrong view in you, you will end up suffering sooner or later. So be careful. Okay, so that's the idea of the anantariyakamma. There are 5 things. Please go back and reflect. Second thing, we move on to Abhinhapaccavekkhana. Abhinhapaccavekkhana. If you do the morning and evening chanting, you must familiar with this. Abhinhapaccavekkhana. Something that one should often reflect. How often? The more the merrier. 5 times a day, 10 times a day. For monks, we reflect at least twice a day. Morning chanting and evening chanting. And because it's important, that's why we are suggested to reflect very often. Not just one time, but every single day. And these are the 5 things in Abhinhapaccavekkhana Sutta. A woman, a man, a lay person, a renunciate. Basically, Buddhist monk and the lay people should often reflect or review these 5 subjects. Whether you ordain or not, doesn't matter. You should reflect this true nature of life. First one, I am liable to grow old. I am not exempt from old age. Second one, I am liable to get sick. I am not exempt from sickness. And the third one, I am liable to die. I am not exempt from death. And number 4, I must be separated, be parted, and separated from all the thing that you love. Separation is coming. And number 5, I am the owner of my deeds. When you hear the word deed, you know it means kamma. Heir to my kamma. Deeds are my womb, my relative, my refuge. I shall be the heir of whatever deeds or kamma that I do, whether good or bad, positive or negative. They belong to you, not belong to someone else. So sin cannot be forgiven. Nobody can forgive you the wrongdoing that you done for yourself. So you have to work around when this thing happen to you. Okay, so these are the 5 things that the Buddha suggests monks and the lay people to reflect on a daily basis. If you do morning chanting and evening chanting, you saying this over and over. The day that you ordain, if you're a monk, all the way, doesn't matter how long you will become a monk, you will be saying the same words every single day. The question is, do you really reflect of what you said? Why the Buddha wants us to reflect on these 5 things on a daily basis? Are there anything else that he wants us to reflect? And the answer is yes. There's more than this. But in this particular sutra, or in this curriculum in the Nakdhamma 3 level, on an elementary level of Nakdhamma, this is what we're supposed to know at the beginning. But there are more than this as well, which I will not cover in this program. Okay, maybe we talk about more of this in the intermediate or the advanced level. But start from here. When we read this, we need to reflect why we are told to reflect in these 5 things on the daily basis. What the benefit of doing this? This one and this one, right? The last one is about kamma, number 5. That means if anything that we are told to reflect every day, more often, this thing is super important, crucial to be reflect. So we cannot neglect the teaching of the Buddha. Oh, I know, we get old, we get ill, we die. It's not just that. And I don't know if you can connect the dot. We learn about the Four Noble Truths many times. All of this actually mentioned in the First Noble Truth already. The Buddha actually teach us about the Noble Truth of life. But in the morning and evening chanting, we don't call it the Noble Truth. It's just the teaching that incorporate in the teaching for the monk and the lay people to chant and to reflect. Make it easy in the simple language. But if you track it back, where did they come from? They come from the discovery of the Buddha of the four noble truth. Start from dukkha, which we learned from last week. If you missed the class from last week, please go back and relearn. Now, these bhikkhus mean monks, is the noble truth of dukkha or suffering. And he start with birth. It should be rebirth. When you hear the word birth, it means rebirth, okay? Rebirth is dukkha. Aging is dukkha. Illness is dukkha. Death is dukkha. And he continue, union with what is displeasing is dukkha. Separation from what is pleasing is dukkha. Not get what one wants is dukkha. In brief, the 5 aggregate subject to clinging are suffering. These simple phrases that I just read is called the First Noble Truth. It's considered an advanced teaching. We may feel simple, but we don't really understand the nature of dukkha. The dukkha need to be realized, need to be understood through the inner wisdom, through the inner eyes. That's why in Dhammachak you chant Chakhu Karani, Yana Karani. Chakhu means eye, right? When you develop the eye, then you can see. When you see, it becomes your wisdom. It's called Yana Karani. So that means dukkha cannot see from this physical eye. It has to be seen from the Dhamma eye inside. That's why it's considered the advanced teaching. When it's come to the Vipassana meditation, they talk about the Four Noble Truths, they talk about the Noble Eightfold Path, they talk about the 5 aggregate that already mentioned here. Again, we have not gone that far yet, okay? I'm just mention it to you to let you know how important they are to reflect this simple nature of life is a routine nature, the routine suffering of life. Birth is suffering, aging suffering, illness is suffering, death is suffering. We cannot run away from this. This is called natural suffering, right? All of us, we are facing all of this. This is called routine, natural dukkha or natural suffering. Getting old, getting ill, and die. Nothing much we can do. We can prolong it, eat good food, rest, meditate, exercise, then perhaps you can live long. But you can just prolong, but you cannot stop it from happening. We get old anyway, we get ill anyway, and we die anyway. And the Buddha also summarized that there are 3 kinds of suffering. In this one, he just, in the chanting, just mentioned only the first, only one thing about separation. But in the Noble Truth, You see, there are three things here the Buddha mentioned. It's okay, I'll summarize to you. First, if you associate with something you don't like, you are suffering. A situation, people, anything at all that you don't like, but you have to be there. You have to associate. You have to be with them, with that thing. Then you are unhappy. It's called displeasing. That's lead us to suffering. And second thing, you separate from something you want, something you like, the job, the family, people you love. If separation happen, people will be suffering. And the third one, that we not always get what we want, and if that happen, we end up suffering. There are three kind of suffering. It's happened to everyone like this, right? Every day as we go through life, morning smile, late morning sad again, in the afternoon get excited, in the evening feeling angry. This is human being. This is life. We run our life run by tanha. We crave to be, we crave to have, and we crave not to have. We get excited about something, we go after that thing, and when we own it, we get bored. And when we get bored, we want to get rid of it and go find another thing that get more exciting about it. This is life, right? If we chant and reflect on these five things every day, there are so many benefits that's happening to us. If you really reflect when you do the chanting, oh, today I'm so fortunate to be able to live one more day in this life, in this planet. And I am getting older, older than yesterday, older than last week, older than last month. What should you do tomorrow if you're lucky to have another day to live? How do you know that you will be survived tomorrow? No one can guarantee that. We just learn that. So we're getting old every breath that we take. Illness is coming. Actually, it's inside us. We have disease. We have virus, fungus, bacteria in the body. We live with it on a daily basis. We may feel healthy, but in that healthiness is also incorporated with sickness, just waiting for the time for the sickness to appear, right? In the young age, also have old age. There is old in the young, there is dead in the alive. That's the nature of things. If we reflect on this, it helps us to let go, help us to understand, it helps us to be more open. If anything happened today, good and bad, you should find a way to make sure that you can go to bed at peace and happily, so you can prepare yourself for tomorrow, right? If the problem that cannot be fixed, then let it go. If the problem that can be fixed, then fix it tomorrow. If you still don't know how to fix it tomorrow, it's okay. Put it on hold if you can, and later on come back and fix it. Don't just beat yourself, torture yourself, stress yourself. Then you cannot have a nice sleep, and that is not good habit at all. And this is the beauty of morning and evening chantings. I myself, I appreciate the morning and evening chanting. I learn a lot, even though it's the same chanting, but it's a good reminder for us to remind ourselves that, hey, time is running out. We have limited time to live. If today something is wrong, okay, tomorrow fix it. I'll be more mindful tomorrow. Today I accidentally said something bad to my monk's brother. Okay, I ask for forgiveness. We do confession every day. That means we open ourselves to our monk's brother that, you know what, I'm sorry. Today I'm not mindful enough. So I say something bad to you. So please forgive me. And then we just hit the reset button. Go to bed happily. Tomorrow wake up and start our new life again. Every day is a new life, is a new opportunities. Don't just hold on the bad thing that happened yesterday. Learn how to move on. And also we remind ourselves about the karma, right? That's we learn in the first topic. Karma is always there. Every day we do karma, good, bad, not good, not bad. It's it's go with us, positive and negative, and that's sometimes it's good to remind ourselves again in the evening chanting before we go to bed. That's okay. There's karma that I did today. There are many good karma. I'm happy. I am feel grateful that I am alive today and I have a chance to do a better thing for myself and the world around me. I have a chance to study Dhamma. I have a chance to purify my precept. I have a chance to meditate. So happy, so grateful that at least today I love myself. I'm proud of myself. And tomorrow again, try to be mindful. Try to make the next day another best day that we live on this planet. Just live life day by day. That's something I think is simple to reflect. Make sure you do it more often. This is suggested by the Buddha himself. And the third thing today will be talking about the benefit of listening to the Dhamma, which again we learned already. Today is a more formal. That means it will be on the exam, right? Because it's in the curriculum. So Dhamma Sawana mean listen to the Dhamma. The benefit of listening to the Dhamma. There are 5 things. First, you will have a chance to hear something you never heard before. There's so many things, right, that we never heard. You learn Buddhist proverb from Prajan Boravut. There's so many things that you may not hear before. And also the Dhamma that we learn together here as well. So many Dhamma that we never heard about it. So you will have a chance to hear something that you never heard before. And second, when you listen to the Dhamma, even though it's the same topic, it helps you to understand them better. I think you realize it by now. There are many things that I keep repeatedly said over and over about the mind, about the kilesa, about the kamma. So you hear something over and over, the same thing. It helps you to understand better. It helps you to reflect them much deeper. And the third one, it helps you to remove the doubt. It helps to answer the question that you might have about the Dhamma that you studied before. If it also helps to adjust our right view. Right view is about wisdom, right? When you come to the Dhamma, definitely you will learn something, and that thing will become your wisdom, even though it's called learn wisdom. Wisdom that happening from learning, from listening, from reading. It's not wisdom from seeing or bhavana maya panya. But it starts from here. We have to start somewhere. We have to learn something, listen to something, and reflect on what we learn. It's become the reflective wisdom. It's called Cinta Maya Panya. And then later on, we go all the way up to the Bhavana Maya Panya, the wisdom that come from not reading, not thinking, but it's come from seeing. And the last one, the Citta, or the mind, become clear and happy when you listen to the Dhamma. Because Dhamma is the teaching of the Buddha. It's a good teaching that lead us to live good life. Do you have to listen to the Dhamma from the monks only? Can lay people give the Dhamma talk? Is this against any rules, any law of Dhamma study? The answer has to be clear, okay? The lay people can teach the Dhamma too. Anybody. In the Buddha time, there was the Upasaka named Citta Khahabadi. Citta Upasaka. He is the one who expert in Dhamma. So he give Dhamma talk to the monk because he understand Dhamma more than the monk. So if anybody gave the Dhamma talk, we should put our life into that teaching. This is how we listen to the Dhamma, suggested by the Buddha. I really enjoy this short teaching that the Buddha gave to Venerable Kassapa, how a monk should train himself. And he received 3 instructions from the Buddha, then he become a monk. He is the only person who ordained that way, by receiving 3 instructions. And one of the instructions that the Buddha gave him is this one, which is relevant to what we are talking about, the Dhamma Sawana, the benefit of listening to the Dhamma. And you should know, before you can get that benefit, you should know how to listen to the Dhamma too, right? Whatever teaching I hear that conducive to something wholesome, this is definitely Dhamma. Dhamma can mean many things, but in this case, it's about the good teaching, the true teaching, wholesome teaching. Whatever teaching that consider wholesome, I shall to do what? Listen with an attentive ear, examining it, reflecting on it, absorbing it with all my heart. Have you been doing that when you're listening to the Dhamma? Do you really put your ear, your eye, your heart into that study when someone gives the Dhamma talk? Or you just listening, checking your phone when it's gonna finish, I'm gonna do my thing. That's how a man should set attitude before he go to the Dhamma class. You see, if it's the Dhamma or the good teaching, you should do this. You should listen with attentive ear, examining it. Attentive ear also include attentive eye too, okay? The ear with the teacher. The eye should be the teacher, not being with something else. Attentive ear, examining it, reflect on it. That means you have. How can you reflect if you don't remember? If you don't write it down? After 30 minutes or 1 hour of Dhamma talk, if you don't make note or anything, you will leave the room empty-handed, because human brain cannot contain everything in a short period of time. But if you make note, then you can reflect later. If you reflect later, then you can practice correctly because you have reference, because you make note in your when you're listening to the Dhamma. So you examine. You don't just believe. You examine it and you reflect on it. This is called yoniso manasikara. You reflect on it deeply. It becomes your wisdom. And absorbing it with all your heart. Appreciate it. Feel grateful about it. Respect the Dhamma. Respect the Dhamma itself. Respect a person, whoever give the Dhamma talk. He need to work very hard to prepare the lecture, to prepare the talk. So we give them some respect. Whether that monk is a new monk, just ordained, he talk about 5 precepts. I know all the 5 precepts, but you happen to be there among those crowd to listen to his Dhamma talk. You need to show some respect. That's the Dhamma. Okay, and the Dhamma also, like I said, not only have to come from the monks or the nuns, the lay people can also give the Dhamma talk. Even your son can give you the Dhamma talk, your daughter, your children, because Dhamma mean what? Dhamma mean the true teaching, the teaching that stop you from doing bad, the teaching that got you thinking and bring you back on track of doing good thing. If you're about to go drink with your friends and your son said, "Dad, please do not go drink. I love you. I worry about you. I want you to be with me. I don't want you to get drunk and have car accidents." By listening to that simple sentence from your son, then you stop going out and drink with your friends. That is the Dhamma. That is the true teaching. That's beneficial. Your son may not know any Dhamma, but what he said is the true teaching, the teaching that got you thinking and stopping you from doing bad. It disturbs the defilement in your mind about greed, about lust, about going out and hang out with friends and doing something bad. And that's the Dhamma. So examine it. Why examining it? Why did your son say that? Reflect on it. Appreciate it. If you really listen, you will stop doing bad. You will not go out and drink. And that's the Dhamma. All right. Now we move on to the number 4. It's about 5 hindrances. Okay. The Pancha Nivara. 5 hindrances. Many of us are familiar with this. If you are a meditator, you know what they are. There are mental factors that obstruct the progress in meditation and hinder. Hinder mean what? Hinder mean blocking. Something that blocking the mind from being still. Something that blocking the mind from going deeper. That's hinder. The attainment of deep state of samadhi and the deep state of vipassana. That's the idea of pancha nivara or the hindrances. And there are 5 things when it comes to the enemy of meditator. You can expect these 5 things every time you sit. They're always there, waiting for you. The first enemy is called kama chanta, or sense desire, sense pleasure. Second is called payabhat. Payabhat means aversion, agitated, ill will, okay, intending to harm to others. And the third one is called tina, mita, mean drowsiness, torpor. You don't feeling fresh, you feel very tired, feel sleepy. And number 4 is called remorse, the guilt, restlessness, and worry. Pali called uttacca and kukucca. And the last one is called vichikicha. Vichikicha means doubt, question about your own experience. There are many areas that interesting when it comes to the 5 hindrances. We can make this topic an advanced topic easily, okay? Because 5 hindrances, it doesn't exist by itself. It's come with condition too. It's come with condition. But let's keep it simple in this class. So these are the 5 things, 5 enemy that's always waiting for us when it's come to meditation practice. Is there any session that you don't experience some of this at all? Don't feel sleepy, don't have, the mind doesn't crave for anything, don't feel agitated, don't feel worry, don't feel doubt or question about your meditation practice. We always have some of this, more or less, in each session that we sit. So that's why they call hindrance, because they hinder the mind from being still, hinder us from going deeper into our mind. They block, they cause the mind to be crowded. The Kamachanta, the mind go after something it's like sense pleasure, right? You may crave for, if you meditate in the 9:30 session, which again is before lunch, you may crave for food. Oh, what's going to be served today? What kind of food should I be eating? So the mind go after the food. Then the mind cannot be with the meditation object that you use. Then the mind cannot be still. Human, animal object, shopping, entertainment. That's the idea of kamachanta. It's always come. Or if you don't have that, you may have the something called payabat, agitated mind. When you sit after 10 minutes, all of a sudden there is no electricity, there is no air conditioning. You feel hot, you feel annoyed, you feel there is a sound of the car pass by, there was the sound of the dog barking. You don't like it. And when you feel like you don't like it, the mind being agitated by those external stimuli, then the mind cannot be with you in the body. So it go after that thing and it start to elaborate. We call mental formation. Why the dog is barking? Whose dog is that? How come there's no electricity? What is wrong? You just keep, formulate the thought in your mind. Then the mind cannot stop. Go after that. Try to find the reason. Then 1 hour, 30 minutes or 1 hour pass by without you are able to bring the mind back. And drowsiness, sleepiness, right? Not feeling fresh, it happen all the time. When you wake up in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning session, sometimes you feel sleepy. Or at 10 p.m. at night, you try to meditate 1 more hour before you go to bed, then you're falling asleep easily within 10-15 minutes. And that's normal. So everything happen by cause. There is a cause for that. There is a cause for the same pleasure. There is a cause for the ill will or agitated mind. There is a cause for sleepiness. You need to find the cause. You need to be able to observe what went wrong today. Why did it happen? And then fix it next time. Restlessness, worriness, this again is another nature of the mind, because the mind is, the nickname of the mind is the wonder elements. It like to think. It think a lot. It think very fast. It think very far. And if you never train the mind to be still, you're gonna have a hard time to work on this. Every time you close your eyes, sit cross-legged, try to still the mind always go after something all the time. But the good news is the mind can be trained. It can be trained to be still. You need to select the right meditation object for yourself that you feel good. What worked for you in the late morning session? What worked for your mind in the afternoon session after meal? What worked for you in the evening session? What worked for you in the late night session? You need to experience it, experiment it. Later on, you will start finding the pattern. What worked for you in the early morning? What worked for you in the afternoon? What worked for you in the late night session? Even though they may be there, but we can work around to be able to bring the mind back. So last week, we learned the idea of the protective meditation or the Arakha Kamatan. I'd like you to be able to put them into practice. Today, we learn about 5 hindrances and how are those 4 meditation objects can help us to deal with these 5 hindrances. So you don't just learn and memorize and try to pass the exam. Your job is to do your best to connect the dots and put them into practice. If the exam asks you something like this, okay, what are the antidote for these 5 hindrances? Utilize the teaching of the Arakha Kammatthana that we learn. Then you should be able to answer the question. Okay, so sense desire. Okay, by the way, just to recap, right? We learned this already. Arakha Kammatthana. Arakha means protect. Protect. Kammatthana mean what? When you place the mind in these 4 areas, in these 4 subjects, it will protect the mind from viruses, from those defilements, from those hindrances. That's why it's called the 4 protective meditation. There are 4 of them. Buddha, Nusati. There is the word sati, right? Morananusati, there also the word sati here. It's about you recollect the virtue of the Buddha. You recollect the nature of life, that life is ugly, called asubha, unattractive. And also the morana, that means death. This is the nature of life. And the last one is a metta. Develop the mind toward metta. We not just develop it. We need to know when we have to use them. If let's say if you sit and then all of a sudden the mind crave for something, sense desire, crave for human, animal, object, what do? Kama chanta, crave for sensualities, crave for entertainments. If the new monk, usually, they just ordain, they might think a lot, think of their previous experience before they become a monk. So sense desire drive by lust or greed. It would be nice if you can reflect on the asubha, the ugliness of the body or the death. When think of death, think of ugliness of the body, then the mind let go lust and the mind come back. What about ill will? Right? Ill will, you can develop metta. You share loving kindness before you sit. You share loving kindness after you sit. Because when you share loving kindness, you look at everyone as a brother or sister, someone who share the common nature of life, which is dukkha. We born, we ill, we die. No matter we love the person or we hate the person, at the end of the day, we human being, we subject to the same law of nature. So there's no point to keep on, getting agitated of the action that that person done to us. So just share loving kindness, and perhaps that can bring the mind back and stay still. If you feel sleepy, what do? If you feel sleepy, you may think of the Buddha. Have the Buddha sit in your mind, or to be reflect on some goodness, reflect on something bright that may help to wake up the mind and continue to be still, right? Instead of allow the mind to fall asleep. Same thing with remorse and restlessness as well. The mind think a lot. When the mind think a lot, you need to find the object for the mind to visualize. Yeah, the blue moon, the full moon, the sun, or something bright. And sometimes I think of death. It's helped to wake me up. It's helped to uh, stop the thinking, because it doesn't do any good for the mind if I let my mind continue to think like that. So when think about death, everything stop. Sometimes think a lot about the lecture, about the teaching in the evening session. When I meditate in the early morning, I think of today afternoon lecture. What the thing that I miss, anything that I should add on into my PowerPoint, just keep thinking on that. It in a way, it's thinking of good thing, thinking of Dhamma. But according to the meditation perspective, this is not good. It's called wandering mind. You shouldn't be thinking of work when you meditate. Okay, so we need to find a way to deal with that and lessen the work, the thought from our mind. And doubt, when we have doubt, what do? Is this image that I saw at the moment or last session, is it real or it's just my imagination? You having doubt. Then what should you do, right? Easiest way to deal with this, just ask your teacher and go from there. There's always a question along the way, because in this meditation journey, we need someone to guide us. We need someone who have more experience than us. We are new to this meditation world, so we need to rely on some teacher. And as you can see from my observation, doubt usually come last. This guy usually come later. At the beginning of your practice, at the very first phase, you may not have a lot of question. You just try to work on this wandering thought, ill will, sleepiness, body pain here and there. But doubt usually come later when you start having a good experience. When the mind being still, body disappear, see some light, feel blissful. Is this real or it's just my imagination? Again, question come back. They usually come last, but they work together. These guys are the enemy of meditators. So you need to, I don't know if I use the right word, but they are there to blocking us from going deeper in our meditation. So be careful. And that leaves us to the last one for today. I think we still have time. This one, the 5 qualities for new monks. 5 things that the new monk should establish. 5 qualities that teach by the Buddha. This particular teaching, the Buddha gave the instruction to Ananda, his personal attendant. He said, if there is a new monk, new monk is those who have not long fought those who not have, those who ordain in a short time, who are newcomer in this Dhamma and disciplines, in this doctrine of the Buddha. This consider the new monk. And to be specific, if you ordain less than 5 years, you are considered a new monk. We call Nawaka. Nawaka means a monk who ordained less than 5 years. There's a lot of things for you to learn. And this new monk should be encouraged, should be strengthened, and should be sustained in these 5 qualities. We cannot take this instruction lightly at all. The Buddha gave precise instruction to Venerable Ananda that please make sure you don't let the new monk have nothing to do all day long. You make sure they do this. You make sure they have this build. Encourage them to do it. Help them to settle down and help them to sustain these 5 things. Don't just let them sitting there and do nothing. It's a job or a responsibility for the trainer and the teacher to make sure to cultivate these 5 things to the new monk. And that's the instruction of the Buddha. Start from number 1, restraint in Patimokha. Patimokha means rules and the Vinaya, right? That we follow, the one that you learn in the Vinaya class. For monks, we have at least 200 rules to follow. For the novice, 10, right? For the female monks, over 300 rules. In fact, monks have more rules to observe. Thousand rules to observe, not just 200 rules. That's the starting point. Why so many rules? You need to know that what makes us different between monk and the lay people. The thing that make monks and the lay people different is the precept they observe. The lay people observe 5 precepts, sometimes 8 precepts. Comparing to the monk, all of a sudden a man become a monk, he observe 200 rules. If monk observe just 5 precepts, then there is no point for the lay people to respect the monk or offering food to the monks, because you and them the same. Monk do what the lay people do. Monk eat dinner. Monk gambling. Monk do things as the lay people do. So there's no point to respect such a monk, right? So monk is a man of precept. And why he has so many precepts? According to the teaching of the Buddha. So we need to track it back. Why a man become a monk, right? The reason a man become a monk back then, the only reason why someone become a monk, because he wants to be free from suffering. He wants his mind to be liberated from dukkha. He wants to realize nibbana quickly. It's difficult to do this as a lay life, as a layman. So let me become a monk. That was the reason. And that is still the reason why a man become a monk. Because when you walk to the preceptor in the chapel and ask for ordination, this is what you say, right? You say, Sappha Tukha Nisarana Nibbana Sachikaranatthaya. You said, oh, I'm just fed up with this suffering. Please, preceptor, help me ordain. I want to realize Nibbana. That's what you said. And how can you realize Nibbana fast if you still do things as the lay people do? The lay people live life by the sense pleasure. Their entertainment, their happiness come from sense pleasure. So monk, we are separated ourselves from the realm of sense pleasure. We entering the different realm, the realm of, we call Nakdhamma Sukha, the happiness. We search for happiness through meditation, through something that doesn't come from sense pleasure, through different world. So we detach ourselves from sense pleasure. That's why the monk need to know what he can, what he cannot, what he should not. There's so many rules to make a monk to be a good monk. And that's the first step that the Buddha gave instruction to Venerable Ananda. Make sure the monks encourage them to observe precept, help them to settle the precept, and help them to sustain the precept from day 1, the day that he ordained. And the second thing is sense control. Sense control is the second instruction. Sense control means what? The new monk need to develop the skill of control their sense, what they see, what they hear, what they smell, what they taste, what they touch. So new monk means what again? The monk who ordained less than 5 years. That means he just lived the lay life to become a monk and less than 5 years. So his whole life get involved with the sense pleasure. He do things whatever he want, whenever he wants, and now he cannot. If he doesn't guard his sense door, it's easy to give rise of the defilements. See something, go arms around in the morning, hear the music, or happen to like that music. see the advertising from the television. Oh, there's a new car, there's a new iPad, and then the mind go after that thing because the monk he doesn't guard his sense door well of what he see, what he hear, what he smell, what he taste, what he touch. Oh, I like this food. Tomorrow I want this food again. Who ordered it? Who offered it? Let me make a phone call so I can have the same dish again. It's about sense control. If the monk don't have that sense control ability, he will crave for things, and he cannot meditate well. And this is something interesting. If a monk break precept, let's say he says something bad to his friends, and another friend heard that conversation. So his friend, if that person happened to be a Kalyana or a good friend, the good friend will brave enough to correct him. He may say, "Hey, brother, please don't say that. This is not good. We are monk. We shouldn't say something like that." If you make a mistake, you break precept. Someone can see, and someone can tell you to stop doing that. If you are open-minded, you will welcome that suggestion and correct yourself instead of getting mad to the person. Lessen your ego. But the sense control is more challenging because what you think nobody knows. If you think of shopping, of entertaining, of food, of things, nobody knows. No one can read your mind. If you don't guard your sense door, you will be in trouble and nobody can help you. When you eat the food, you think of the music in the morning, you think of the picture of a woman, picture of the new phone, new car while you're eating. And when you in the evening session meditate and you feel hungry, you think of food, fancy food. You think of your lay life. I used to go to that fancy restaurant, order that dish and that. Order this or a wonderful dish with my girlfriend, this and that. Nobody knows. And when that happens, you cannot meditate well. And you're not supposed to think like that as a monk. That is why sense control is important because no one can save you from that wrong thinking. They go together. Make sure you secure precept first, and then you guard your sense door. And there's a reason for that. You have to practice accordingly. And the third one, don't talk too much. What do the new monk usually talk? A man become a monk. Nothing much. He don't know much about the Dhamma. So what they normally talk is about their worldly experience. The work, the business, the relationship, the thing that they done before they become a monk. And that's not the conversation of a monk. So we should be mindful of what we talk as a monk. So limit conversation. It doesn't mean you should not talk to anybody. No, don't take the teaching wrongly. It means you mindful of your conversation with your friends. As a new monk, you don't talk much. And in fact, the Buddha gave the instruction precisely in different sutra. He said, monk, you do two things. You do two things when you get together. First, you either sit and reflect on the meditation. Basically, you sit silently and meditate. Or you discuss about the Dhamma. You do two things when you guys get together. Not something else. You don't talk about the world. You don't talk about basketball. You don't talk about soccer. You don't talk about American football, shopping, politics. You don't talk about those stuff. You talk about the Dhamma. How is your meditation this morning? What technique that you use? How was your experience? Can you teach me how to do that? So these are something that suggests, right? That's the third one that monk should be cultivated. And number 4, dwell in solitude. Okay, remote wilderness. That means in the past, the monks stay in the forest. When they ordained, there was no temple for them to stay. They would learn meditation object from their preceptor, and after that, they go practice by themselves in the cave, in the root of trees, in the empty hut. Basically, they stay alone, solitude, secluded themselves. Go arms round in the morning, get the food, find a quiet place to sit, reflect on the food they receive, and eat breakfast. And after that, it's done. Most of the monks in the past, they eat 1 meal a day, and they spend the rest of the day practice meditation. Why? Because they want to realize Nibbana quickly. They don't want to spend time raising family, running business like the regular lay life. That's why they become a monk, leave everything behind. And number 5 is to be endowed with the right view again. You see, meditation is your job. Whether you are just ordained, you ordained long time, same job. And wisdom also is our job to acquire wisdom. As a new monk, you learn from your teacher, you learn from book, you join this program. This is one way to develop wisdom too, to get close to the teaching of the Buddha. And don't just stop there, reflect, practice, and realize it later on. So right view is about samadhi, right? To develop right view. If you ordain this day, there's no forest for you to stay. It doesn't mean that you need to ordain and stay in the forest. Okay, so don't get the teaching wrong. The Buddha suggests the new monk to make sure that you live in the suitable place where you can comfortably meditate. Food okay, easy to find food. The place you stay is okay. There's no insect. There's no something dangerous. There's no noise, so you can meditate comfortably. And there's a place, the teacher, where you can access to them and ask them the question. This considered a good surrounding or good environment for the new monk, so you can survive. If in this 5 years you stay in such condition, you study precept, you learn how to be mindful of and guard your sense door, you mindful of your speech and your conversation, and you find time to meditate more, and you ask question, you access to your teacher more. Within 5 years, you will learn a lot, and after that 5 years, you become more mature. You allowed to leave the temple. You allowed to leave your preceptor, to go find other school or other place to meditate or practice on your own. But in the first 5 years, it's very critical for you to stay at one place, stay with the teacher, stay with the good environment, so you can cultivate a lot of goodness as the new monk supposed to establish, supposed to cultivate it. And all of this you cannot be done without being mindful. The instruction to all the monks should live life with sati and sampajanya, the teaching that we learned in the first week of this Nakdhamma study, right? The great virtue that's the great assistant, the virtue that support everything is sati and sampajanya, or mindfulness and the clear comprehension. This is my instruction to you. If you are the layperson, you can apply the same thing, same approach, right? You should observe precept, at least the 5 precepts, if you want to be success and happy, if you want to sustain your happiness. And you need to also guard your sense door too, because you are in the realm of sense pleasure. You go through life, you see, you hear, you smell things every day. If you don't guard your sense door well, your life will be taking control by the tanha, crave to have, crave to be, crave not to be, get agitated, you know, laugh in the morning, cry in the evening. This is because you don't guard your sense door well. So every day that you wake up, make sure you stand guard at the door of your sense before you leave the house. And what about mindfulness in conversation, right? This is called Samma Vacha in the Noble Eightfold Path. Speak with the good intention. Speak with it need to be the truth. It need to be the right timing. It need to be come from your loving kindness mind. Okay, not speak from the jealousy mind. And people run into problem this day because they're not mindful of the conversation. Say something that they're not supposed to say, or say something that they're supposed to say but not in the right timing. There are details about speaking correctly, okay, in terms of the teaching of the Buddha that you need to study as well. And stay in the remote place, solitude. It doesn't mean that you need to leave your house, leave everyone behind, go get lost in the wood and meditate. No, you need to apply what you learn. Okay, make sure you find time for yourself to meditate. You can meditate in your condominium, in the house. Set time for meditation early in the morning, late night. If you set goal to sit 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at night, please stick with the schedule. This is what it means. This is how you can apply what you learned today and endow with the right view, of course, right? You join the class, you learn the Dhamma. This is how you develop wisdom. And with the wisdom, it helps you to understand things better, help you to have the right attitude, and that help you to live good life. So both lay people and the monk, we can use the same teaching of the Buddha. You just have to adapt to who you are. Then you can put into practice properly. So these are some of the reference that I use today. Make sure you have it. If you like, feel free to check them out and study on your own. It's always nice to have a chance to take a look of the full sutra by yourself. Okay, you can be the witness of the teaching of the Buddha by just go back to the teaching that kept in the Buddhist text. Any question, suggestion, comments, anything that you learned today that you like to share with me? So let's take a break and See everyone again next week. We pay respect to the triple gem together.